Welcome to the Solution Finders. Today, I want to start with a question. Are you the passenger of your life, or are you in the driver's seat? Of course, I can talk about my own experience and just give you these questions for you if you want to reflect on your own experience and on what do you want in the future. I would like to do a little bit of a recap on the podcast on what happened so far. We are in July, so it's been more than 6 months that the podcast was launched. Was launched in January, and actually I've been working on it from September last year. So for about 9-10 months, I've been working on it, and I am very happy about all this experience. And this is episode number 26, and I had 19 wonderful guests so far, and it was really there was really growth for me. Lots of ideas and synchronicities in my life related to these wonderful conversations I had, and the episodes I recorded as well on my own, reflecting on different topics. More than 6 months of podcast really helped me, and I hope they helped you and inspired you in some way as well. So today I would like to start talking about my own experience with driving. So there was a struggle for me from when I passed when I obtained my driving license to when I started driving regularly my car. 18 years. There was a gap of 18 years in between. So what's happened there? First of all, I know that lots of people, and we see it, for example, in movies, and it's a reference I had a lot because I was watching lots of movies, lots of TVs, lots of series when I was a child, and TV was my addiction when I was small. So I was really kind of hypnotized by it. I was really programmed by it, and so I watched lots of American content, lots of movies and series from the USA, where you can see that people get their driving license very young. Generally, lots of the movies, there's people who are well economically, so they can have magari. They have a car available straight away when they have their driving license. And I don't remember exactly what the age. So the age to have the driving license in Italy, where I am from, is 18 to start driving, but I think United States is maybe 16, and UK as well. I think you can have your driving license 16 or 17, maybe 17. Not sure, but yes, kind of in the teenagers years, you can have your driving license. You can start driving. It's something I kind of thought about when I was that age, because I was living with my grandparents and my aunt was the only one in my family who got her driving license at age 18. And for her, that was because she had a job. She was like nanny, and so really she had to drive to work, and she got help from her father to drive. Actually, it was nice because she was in a small accident and she was very scared of restarting to drive. And he helped her. He said, "Well, let's go out straight away, so you restart to drive, because if you start to have fear to drive and stop driving, it will not work." So actually, she was the youngest in the family who had her driving license at 18. The other people were my grandfather, who, because he was from Sardinia and he emigrated to the north of Italy, to Torino. Before, to go to Torino, he didn't have the money, the possibility, the culture around him to have a car. So actually, after immigrating there, after a few years, he got his driving license, he got his car, and actually he was working at Fiat, that is a company who produces cars. So he got his series of Fiat cars during his life. And so he got his driving license in his 40s, I think. Didn't obtain it before that. And my mom was in a similar situation, in which, well, because at that age of kind of around 18, she wasn't with her family anymore. She was like kind of single mother working, around that age of 18, 20s, like this. She got her driving license around end of 20s, beginning of 30s. So actually at that point I was about 12, 13, and I seeing her going to classes, so she will explain to me a little bit. So at that point I was excited about learning to drive. But then years passed, and when I was 18, when I turned 18, really it was all about school. I was okay with going with the transports. There was no talk from my grandfather or my aunt, who were the two in the family who were driving, to say, hey, get your driving license, you're going to use this car. We didn't even talk about it. So, and I was really concentrated on my studies, and because I was used to go places by bus, I was okay. And my friends, they didn't really use the car neither. Some of them did. When I used to go to Sardinia, around 18, a few of the friends, and there were female friends, they started to have access to a car. I have their driving license. Yeah, they did. And then Sardinia is there's less public transports. They don't work as well as in Torino, for example, and they are not so efficient. So I think that's part of the fact of the reason why they started to drive around 18, and they started really to think, okay, I want my own car, or and yeah, eventually they bought their own car, starting with using the car from their parents' car, and like this. So for me personally, I waited until I finished university. After I graduated, I decided to get my driving license, and it was just my choice. And I did it. I did everything kind of on time, but then I didn't have a car I could access to regularly. So I kind of lost the memory of it straight away. And something weird happened in the sense that when I had my exam, everything was okay. I thought I was driving well, but then I remember driving with a friend, so asking to a friend if I could drive his car, and he said yes. And then I kind of lost control at the end of the drive. I really kind of had a moment of panicking, of confusion, of feeling like I didn't have control. Like, what do I do next? What do I do next? With no control of the car, with the car moving and not knowing how to stop it, something like that. And that scared me. And so I was less prone to drive again. And I didn't really have people insisting on me saying, hey, you should drive, because I didn't have my own car, or I didn't have access to a car. So the years passed, and I moved to France, and it was the same. There was like good transport, didn't need a car, didn't have the desire to have a car. So eventually I moved to the UK. And then my partner at the time, who would tell me, why don't you take some lessons, like and as a restart to drive. And that was before to have a car. We didn't have a car at that time. So I took some lessons, and then it's slightly different in the UK because the driver is on the other side. So the driver in the UK is on the left side of the car. In Italy, is on the right side of the car. It's kind of the principles are the same, but it takes a little bit of time to get used to it. Plus, I had my driving license already for many years, and I wasn't driving. So I took some classes, and then I didn't drive, and we didn't even have a car. But then my partner at the time had his own car, so he started to say, well, let's try to get you to drive. Eventually, after a few years, it was after having my kids, I restarted to go to driving classes. And at that point, I bought my first car. So it was really a transition of going to classes. And I had this moment in which I thought I was driving fine, and she was telling me, and it was with a female instructor, that recently there's more driving schools with female instructors. They can be a little bit good choice for some women to have a female instructor. But yeah, it was a little bit weird because sometimes I thought I was driving fine, and sometimes I thought I was driving awfully, and she would tell me, why did you do that? Or things like that. Like I would do kind of stupid mistakes. I would think that there were stupid mistakes. And I really, in some way, she kind of fired me because I wasn't I wasn't going to the lessons to pass my exam. I had passed my exams years before, and I had a driving license. I have a British driving license as well, because I just did the papers to do it, even though I did my exam in Italy. So for her, normally people who go to her classes, it's because they want to pass the exam. So she was like, you passed your exam already, you bought your car, it's finished. Like, you don't have to do lessons with me anymore. Just start to drive your car. So actually, when I bought my car, it took me more than a year after that to start driving regularly. So like, I didn't really understand what was going on, because in a sense, it was really a big fear I had of driving on my own or taking the car. And I had a few episodes of really kind of panicking and not knowing what to do with the car, and thinking that was dangerous, but it's dangerous for me to drive. So actually in 2017, I did PSYCH-K courses to change my subconscious beliefs, and driving is one of the things I worked on. And I was surprised because, so in PSYCH-K, you can reprogram your subconscious mind. So if you have a belief that is limiting, you can kind of overwrite it with a belief that is that supports you. So for example, I tested if I had the belief of I am a good driver, and I had it. So I thought, oh, okay. I thought that was the problem, that that my subconscious didn't believe that I was a good driver. So in a sense, I had to dig more, because that wasn't the case. I had already that belief that I was a good driver. So I was wondering, why am I driving badly sometimes? And a beautiful thing that happened with the PSYCH-K is that there is I think it's in the health and well-being course, that is has beautiful balances, and one balance is about an alternative life. So I did this balance, thinking about a life, so an alternative life, a life when a situation or a condition we have in this life is not there. So I thought about an alternative life where I'm driving fine. When I don't have any problems driving, I'm just, at 18, I'm out and about with my car. I don't have any problems. And I had some kind of visions of this life, and it was beautiful, because one of the things, there was I was in this family where there was lots of love. And my mother, when I was a kid in this vision, taught me how to drive a bicycle, how to ride a bicycle. So it was this moment, this beautiful moment of starting to ride a bicycle, had my mom. That it was really like a different life. It was a different looking mom, and then having my car was like, I was given a car by my parents when I was the age teenager, when I was starting to drive. And then it was kind of this concept of joyriding in this vision, and it was like I was driving with flip flops on, and I would drive to the beach and just kind of park on the beach and park the car on the beach and run straight away to the sea from the car. So it was really like a freedom and a joy related to the car. So in a sense, in the last few years, I found that feeling. I found that feeling while driving. It started with my kids when I wasn't driving yet, but I was the passenger. And I remember we would have the music on and sing together. one song we were singing all together was Yellow Submarine. That is a very a song that is near to my heart because I will watch the movie Yellow Submarine every time we would go to Milan to see a friend, my mom's friend, and he had a VHS. So we would watch that movie all the time. I would watch it, and that gave me a big interest for animation as well. And I worked in animation during my life, so it's really a movie I loved, and I loved, of course, the music, the Beatles music, and so that song, singing that song in the car with my kids, it was wonderful. It was in my car, my first car I bought with my two sons. It was wonderful. And then when I really started to drive, I really looked into different things, and one thing with me really changed my mindset, changed my beliefs, changed my. It was really in the last few years opening of my heart and an awareness that I can feel good no matter what happens around me. And I have some tools that can help me with that. That can be meditation, PSYCH-K, and similar things. And so I decided, and it was in 2020, COVID, when COVID had started, I decided I should start to drive on my own. And until that point, my partner at the time would say, "Yeah, let's go, let's practice a little bit." But for me, it was a little bit. I found it a little bit, let's say, useless because we would always be in a parking space and imagining that a car was there, that I should go around the car that wasn't there. So it was all kind of imaginary scenarios. I really wanted to start to do the real thing, to go to a real place, to do the real driving, step by step. So what I decided, it was kind of at the end of 2020, I decided, okay, today I'm going to drive on my own. I'm going to take the car and go to the swimming pool gym that was like 5-10 minutes drive from where I live. And I just thought, I'm just going to do step by step and see where I go. If I cannot go all the way, it's okay. And I woke up with this little voice in my head saying, "Are you not ashamed to start driving at your age?" And I thought, okay, I know this voice doesn't serve me. I'm not listening to it. Just kind of turn the love on myself. I say I love myself for the way I am, and if I'm starting to drive at this age, it's okay. I'm okay. I love myself anyway. So I went out. I even put like on a new dress. It wasn't the first time I was wearing that dress, and I went to the car, and step by step, I made it. Okay, let's go out of the parking space. Let's go this way, and then it was something like a Saturday morning so it was in the weekend and there was no traffic. So I made it all the way and I came back. So I made it. I did it. It was wonderful. So really, it was a long journey for me. And then eventually I had other episodes in which I kind of felt like I was losing control of the car. And in my exploration of my own traumas and really like digging into my life and into my patterns, habits, and everything that would kind of stop me from having what I want. I found out, and there are some videos I did before in which I was talking about that. Found out that I was in freeze survival response quite a lot. And that mainly came from this trauma I had when I was 2 years old, that I heard a terrorist bomb going off. So it really put me in a state of fear and terror, and of really having a reaction of hiding, freezing. So maybe some of the moments where I felt like I lost control of driving was because I was having a freeze, hide, freeze response reaction to something. And then when I looked into that, I found out as well that there is phoning. That is another survival response. Phoning is kind of like people pleasing, and it comes from complex PTSD or childhood PTSD. The crappy fairy godmother talks about that, is Anna Rankol. And actually, listening to her videos, one of the things she said that sometimes we could get neurologically dysregulated, and that really gives like kind of freeze or kind of reset moment in which we can be really like, I don't know. It can be like a glitch in a sense, like we get completely confused, and it's really neurologically something really happens in the body. So I thought, and in one of her videos, maybe more than one, she says, when you have this neurological dysregulation in the car, stop the car, have a break, because if you are dysregulated when you are driving, it can be dangerous. So so I really started to be aware of that, and so I started to understand when I was having these regulations, to come out of it faster and faster. And so actually now, but it's been from 2020 that I'm driving regularly, and I started to enjoy it. And recently it was like really like this concept of joyriding came back for me, and yeah, I am enjoying driving more and more. Sometimes when I'm driving on my own, I'm singing, I have the music on, I'm singing, and I'm really enjoying it. And I'm having synchronicities as well, something. One was wonderful. It was, I was thinking that I wanted to move to another house. And I was thinking and desiring that quite a lot. And on the motorway, there was a truck in front of me with a whole house on top of it. I was going a whole house, like I don't know how they are called, but they are like prefab houses. Some people really live on them, and some people just go like on holiday on them. They are a lot cheaper than normal houses, but they look like real houses. And this one was taking more than one line on the, so it was wider than a car, kind of double than a car. It was like a small house in front of me, and it was moving. So moving house, and I was just laughing on my own because it was like a sign of me moving house eventually. So it was very nice, and I like the word quite a lot. Joyriding, like really like having a joyous moment in the car. Something that I've seen in different movies I watched recently. Really, people having fun while driving and having laughing and singing together. So that's very nice. So yeah, and so that was my experience with driving. And I think in life, it can be a metaphor for life, and to really see with ourselves if we are the passenger of our life or if we are the driver. Are we making the decisions? Are we deciding where to go? Do we know where we are going? It's a metaphor. And I've seen it with people in my family, for example, and around me. I've seen that often women still don't drive. There is that kind of program in society that I've seen, for example, with my grandparents, where even though my grandfather got his driving license in his 40s, he was the driver. He was the owner of the car. He was, my grandma didn't even think of getting her driving license. She was the passenger. She was the navigator as well. She would tell him where to go, turn right, turn left, go straight. And in life as well, she would be the navigator often, or she would decide what to do next. But he was the driver, and she never thought about being the driver as well. And that dynamic comes from societies, from the programs, and it changed in recent years. There's lots of women who have their own driving license and their own car, and they drive and everything. But still, I've seen women around me who maybe they have their driving license, but they don't have a car, they don't drive. Or they don't have the driving license yet. So that's really, let's say, a slow evolution for me. It was pretty slow. It took me 18 years from when I got my driving license to starting to drive consistently. And now I'm enjoying it as well. At the beginning, it was a little bit like a chore in a sense. It was, but it was good. It was like something useful. You know, if I want to do shopping for food, it's better if I go with the car because I can buy more things and I'm not, walking for a long time with big, heavy bags like I used to do when I didn't have a car. So there's the comfort of the car, and there's and really decisions of even like where to live. I used to live in a flat where there was a nice parking space, very easy to park on a private parking space. And before that, I was living in a place where there was no parking space in front of the house, and I had to park in a different place, find a different place, maybe every day in the roads near it. So then you really start to understand, okay, what do I really want? I do like comfort, so I would prefer to be in a place where I have my own parking space, where I can really easily park. And really, yeah, and I see my preferences when I go to the supermarket as well, the way I park, the way other people park. I park easily normally. I park in the shade if it's hot, so then the car doesn't get super hot. I prefer to park easily, and then if I have to reverse to come out, I have no problems. Some people reverse first, so then when they go out, it's easier. It's interesting to see how people's brain are different. People think in different ways, and yeah. So this is the story. And Francesca told me as well. We were talking about driving, and I was very interested in her experience, because Francesca told me that she had this pattern of not. She didn't want it to drive for long. She started to feel very sleepy after 15 minutes of driving. So she started really to kind of just drive locally in her area. So she would stay in the 15 minutes drive slot. It was a little bit of a problem, because she wouldn't allow herself, she wouldn't go on a longer trips. And now she overcame that, because recently, for example, she drove from Italy to Germany and back. That's many hours of driving. So she understood because she does lots of work on herself, and she's very good. She does clinical EFT as her practice. She offers sessions on that. And one thing she found out was that it's a pattern from when she was a child, in the sense that with her family, she would want to stay with her parents. So she would fall asleep in the car, like a little bit of a strategy to try not to go where her parents wanted her to go. They wanted her to bring her to uncle and auntie, but she wanted to stay with them. So she would fall asleep in the car when this happened. So she ended up being an adult and feeling very sleepy in the car after about 15 minutes of driving, and thinking this is dangerous if I fall asleep while I'm driving. So she moved to Spain for a while, and she was offered to do a job in which she should really travel around Spain by car. So there would be many hours in the car. So she explained this thing of getting very sleepy after about 15 minutes to her boss. And her boss was very good, because he said, look, you have all the time you want, just try and do it. And if you feel sleepy, stop, sleep, and then you continue. Take all the time you want. So thanks to this, she eventually did it, and so she stopped. She had a rest every time. She would feel that, and eventually that went away. She can drive all the way to Germany. Of course, she has breaks when she needs them, but not every 15 minutes. Maybe 2 hours, 3 hours. I don't know. So really, everybody has their own things they can work on, and I think this can be a good topic we can reflect on. For me, it was really a big thing in my life, and I'm happy that I overcame a lot, and that now I can drive easily, and in a sense, I faced my fears, and I did it, and I am happy for it, and I'm happy that I can show this to my children, and just to show them, because then when we continue with our limitations, which we're just passing them to our children, they do what we do. It's not like I can say any uplifting words, but then if I have blocks on doing things, that's what they learn. In reality, they learn to be scared of driving. If I'm not driving, they learn. So I'm happy that I overcame these fears and these blocks in myself, and a lot was with self-love. Like I was saying, I really had like a voice in my head that was very, very critical, and very judging of myself. And thanks to PSYCH-K meditation and all the tools I found on my way, I started to realize that voice is kind of not me, and I don't hear that voice anymore. And if I hear it, I can change it, and I can not believe it, not follow it. One thing that comes to mind is one of the first. It's from the book Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself by Dr. Joe Dispenza. And one technique it gives is if we have thoughts that are limiting, and if we catch them, to say change. I think I had one to that account, but yeah, it's less often than before. So when you have a little voice in your head that says like, aren't you too old to do this? Change. No, I'm not. I'm just doing it now. So yeah, we can change it, and I hope this can be useful for you, and have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Thank you for watching or listening to the Solution Finders. Please like, subscribe, and share so we can inform and inspire more people. If you would like to donate to the podcast, the link is in the description below. All donations go towards paying for software, video editing, and production work. Please visit unamarz.com, unamarz.com, for one-to-one sessions with me to reprogram your subconscious mind, for my original origami art and printed products like t-shirts and stationery, for more info about this podcast. If you've made it till this point, please add your favorite emoji in the comments. Have a wonderful day.